Let's create some buttons using some assets we have embedded. In this tutorial, I will show you how you can easily create a simple button from a spreadsheet, a button with multiple states and images, and an on-off button. We'll start by creating a simple button. We need to get the asset using our asset manager. Then we need to declare a function, and finally we'll create the button. So we'll start out by typing const button background bitmap equals assets manager dot get image, and we're going to use our button down image in our assets spreadsheet. Now let's instantiate our function. Const onClick1 function equals function void, and we're just going to have a trace, a simple string clicked. Finally, let's instantiate our button. The fourth parameter is custom text you can have written on your button. Since our assets already have the word fire, I'll skip this parameter. So const button1 GUI button with background equals new GUI button with background button background on click 1, which is a function we'll be calling. You don't need to include these last two parameters, but I wanted to include them to remind you that the fourth one is where you would insert your custom text overlay on your button. Now, creating a button from a spreadsheet is essentially identical. Const onClick2 function equals function void, and I'm just going to trace a string clicked to. And then I'm going to create a const called button2, which is going to be a GUI image button, and equals new GUI image button. And I'm going to use the asset button up. And I'm going to call the function onClick2. And uint.maxValue. Also, the number you set in the third parameter will be automatically scaled using Junji scaling factors. Now things are getting interesting. Let's create a button with multiple backgrounds. First, we'll get 3 assets from our asset manager. We've already imported a spreadsheet with 2 states, a regular state image and a click state image, so we'll just be using that and multi-purposing the regular state image as a hover state image as well. Just remember that Junji's multiple background supports up to 3 states, regular, hover, and clicked. Here we'll just be using 2 of those. So const button normal background bitmap equals assets manager dot get image. And then button up and assets. Just going to copy and paste that and do the same, but this time the const will be button click background and the assets will be button down. Let's also create a function. Const onClick3 function equals, and I'm just going to do the same thing as I've done before, only this time I'm going to trace clicked3. And now we can create that button. Const button 3, the GUI button with multiple backgrounds, equals new GUI button with multiple backgrounds. And it's going to call the function onClick3. And we're going to use our button normal background as our normal state. And we'll use it again for our hover state. And we'll use a button click background for our clicked state. Finally, I want to demo an on-off button. Our on-off button will point to two functions. One for its on-click and one for its off-click. So const on asset bitmap equals assetsmanager.getImage, and I'll just be again using button down as our asset. And const off asset also a bitmap equals, let's copy and paste, and this time we'll use our button up asset. And now we need two functions, const onClick4 and I'll just copy and paste that for our off-click function. Now I'll just name this off-click4, and I'll have it say clicked on and clicked off. Now we can create that button, const button 4, and it's a GUI on off button, equals new GUI on off button, and we'll pass through our first asset, our on asset, as well as our off asset, and then our on click function, as well as our off click function, and an empty string and true. True just sets it to be on by default. Now all we have to do is add them to the stage and align them. So add child button 1. And here I'm using GUI alignment methods, which we'll cover in another tutorial. This is just to position them on screen so you can easily tell them apart. Now when we run it, you can see our first normal button, it's one asset, and you can see the string being called in the bottom left. And then our third button, which has multiple states. Remember, there's also a hover state that we haven't used. And then our on-off button, which calls two separate functions. That's it. Thanks for watching.